So this might not be my usual style of content, but I saw this floating around on Twitter and I wanted to make a video on it. So a lot of you will have seen it, and I know a lot of my audience might be a bit older, but of course, Twitch is a very, very profitable industry. So there are numerous types of Twitch channels. It's not just gaming. And this one is a chat channel. So it's essentially like, you know, if you guys have been on my live stream on a Sunday, it's what I do. I just live stream myself talking to the audience about, you know, random stuff. Some people sometimes very, very generously give me small donations and that comes up in the super chat. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I wouldn't want to do it for a living because it is quite tiring when you've been doing it for about 3 hours. And as someone who does YouTube, I think that can be a legitimate job. And I think Twitch streaming is a legitimate job. If you can make money from just sitting in front of a camera and talking, you don't have to slave away being exploited by your boss, being paid bad wages, commuting possibly as well into a big city. So many of you will do that like me. And of course you'd rather sit in front of a camera and talk all day. Not all of us have the talent or skill to do it, but it is a better alternative. So I'm not knocking the actual job. If you want to do YouTube or Twitch as a job, a lot of people are going to rely on donations. So with me, I have my own Patreon and I talked about the super chat. On YouTube, you can also get ad revenue. And on Twitch, of course, they rely on donations in the Twitch stream or, you know, Patreon, just like me. Now, David Dole, the Rational National, said something I agree with. I feel bad enough taking people's money off Patreon, which I do, because I don't know, it's just a weird thing when people give you money when you're not directly doing something for them. I don't know. I guess you're producing content that they like, but it feels like I feel kind of bad. I've said before, you know, even during this pandemic, that don't give more money to my Patreon and stuff. But this specific Twitch streamer called InvaderVie isn't very appreciative of people who give money. In fact, if you can't afford $10 donations to her, there might be something wrong with your work ethic.
It doesn't really matter how much money you make or how much money you have. That's really the thing, because I'm not asking you for a large financial contribution. If it cost $20 to sub, $20 is quite a bit of money. $20 is, you can get a full meal for $20. And the difference of $20 and eating a meal is in that $20. Like, that's where it is. But a sub is $5. At maximum, in whatever your currency is, it's maybe $10. And it doesn't matter how broke you are. If you have time to watch Twitch, you have $10, truly. If you don't have $10, you probably don't have time to watch Twitch because you should be working. You should be trying to earn money. It's not a ton. It's not like a ton of money. So being like, I'm broke, I can't afford to sub, that doesn't really track. What you mean to say is, I'm so irresponsible with my money, I can't support the entertainment that I enjoy.
Now that clip just seems to start off like sort of bad and get worse and worse and worse and ends on the worst possible note. There's many things to talk about in this, so let's get started. So the two main ones are that if you have time to watch a Twitch stream, I guess you should be working to make more money, because if you can't afford to sub for $10, you should be working. And if you don't have this money, you're financially irresponsible. So let's start with the first one. So she's saying if you have time to watch Twitch, you know, you must not be working hard enough. Well, people can do what they want on their leisure time. Even if you're extremely busy, even if you have an hour a day where you want to cool off, you want to do something, what is wrong with watching Twitch? You might just tune into her stream for 30 minutes. So people will have full-time jobs, people will commute, they'll also have hobbies, they might have children, and maybe they'll have an hour, half an hour to themselves. On my busiest days when I go into work, I get up at 6:30, I'm in the office by 8:30, I get home at 7. A lot of the time I have football training straight afterwards, so I actually end up getting home at 9:30. When I've showered and had dinner, it's about 10:30, and then I gotta go to bed in the next hour. What I normally do is either maybe make a YouTube video, or I just play some video games before I'm going to bed. If I was a fan of this woman, I might also watch half an hour or an hour of her stream before going to bed. I don't understand the concept of if you watch Twitch streams in your free time, you are somehow not a hard worker, or you're not working hard enough. I guess it's a stereotype that also shows how much she doesn't actually appreciate her audience, that everyone who watches Twitch is maybe just some lazy college student smoking weed and sitting on their couch, or maybe some unemployed person who just plays video games all day and just watches Twitch streams for hours upon hours upon hours. So that shows to me someone who doesn't have a real concept of what it's like to live in the real world. I don't know how old she is. She seems like she's probably in her 20s like me. I don't know how many conventional jobs she's had, but this sort of suggests she hasn't had many. It comes off as a really, really privileged person who just doesn't understand how life works. So let's get on to the last point. She says, if you can't give her a $5 or $10 sub, you are financially irresponsible. Now, you operate on a platform where people don't have to give you money. You are platformed by a corporation, just like I am on YouTube. If people want to give you money because they think you're doing a good job, that's great, and you should be super grateful for that. And if they can't afford it, let's say they actually can't afford it, you have to recognize when money is tight, everything adds up. $10 is not just a measly sum when you're tallying it in the whole bills for the month. Most of you will probably have subscriptions to maybe Netflix or Apple Music like I do, or PlayStation, but when you have a couple of them on top of each other, it all builds up. So even someone like me, who could probably spare another $10 a month, I would not give her any money, even if I watched all the stuff. I actually watch a lot of YouTubers and I give them no money, because when I tally up my all my bills, I don't want to pay an extra $10 because that just stacks up on everything else. And especially, I'm in a pretty privileged position, but if you live in your own house, you own your own home, you pay your own bills, you have children to provide for, that is obviously something that you're just not going to spend money on. These platforms are free content for people, so no, they're not so broke they literally can't afford it. And if they don't want to pay you this money, they shouldn't have to. And it's nothing about financial responsibility that they don't have an extra $10 to spend. Like I'm saying, you just might have a lot of bills and you just don't want to spend more money on something frivolous or something ridiculous, because she's clearly making enough money. And someone like this just represents the worst of so-called millennial or Gen Z culture. Someone who's entitled, someone who doesn't value money, doesn't realize how much this sort of money means to people. Is $20 the cutoff point? People don't just have $20 to throw around. People don't even have $5 to throw around. So it's totally ridiculous logic. And the thing is as well, what annoys me about this is she's in a job herself that many people would say isn't real work. I'm not one of those people. Many people would say, you are lazy, get a real job, you're just sitting in front of a camera and chatting, and you're talking to everyone else that they're financially irresponsible if they don't have $5 or $10 to give to you. We could say a lot of things about this woman or Twitch streamers in general. We could say, go, get a real job, work hard for once in your life, stop being lazy and relying on handouts from all these people to live your life. Again, I'm not saying that is the case, but it seems a bit like there's a lack of self-awareness there. And both of these arguments are indicative of arguments conservatives use all the time. It's like the argument, if you have an iPhone, you can't be poor. If you play PlayStation in your free time and you're still poor, well, what should you be doing? You should literally be working 24/7. A lot of people do work multiple jobs as well, but you should be working every waking minute of the day to make yourself not poor. And the financial responsibility part as well plays into that it's all your own fault if you don't have loads of cash spare. And like I said, there's many problems everyone faces in a capitalist system, and then that is obviously exemplified by your personal situations, and then that doesn't even take into account more, I guess, societal factors in terms of oppression of various groups and how income is not shared equally in terms of different races and everything, or genders. So there's a lot at play there, but it just reeks of a conservative argument that if you're poor, it's your own fault, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, stop wasting time, unplugging from an awful capitalist system just for a bit. You must be working every second of the day to raise yourself out of poverty. And like Martin Luther King said, I know that's a weird person to bring into a video about an e-girl Twitch streamer, but he says you can't say to a bootless man, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and raise yourself out of poverty and get more money. And that goes for most people. And then at the end of the day, even if you're not a poor person, even if you've got tons of cash to throw around, you might just not want to spend extra money on top of all your other bills you pay for entertainment for a Twitch streamer. And that is totally fair enough. Like, I can't imagine saying to everyone right now, $1 is no money. That's like 80p. Everyone can afford that. So therefore, you must go onto my Patreon and pledge this X amount of money because you can afford that. And if you can't afford that, what are you doing watching my videos? You should be working And on top of all of that, if you just don't have the money, if you don't have this dollar, you're financially irresponsible. So again, when I put it like that, it seems so gross and so weird. But yeah, I just thought I'd bring it up. It's a fun little video and just shows, you know, the worst of young people who make their living online. Just how out of touch can you be? Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like the video and maybe subscribe. Follow me at social media at The Cavernacle. On Twitter is the main one, but also Instagram and Facebook. Check out my Reddit, so r/The Cavernacle for my subreddit, u/TommyCahill1995 for my personal Reddit. Check out my WordPress and maybe my Medium. And thanks a lot to my patrons. I'm super grateful for anyone who has ever given me any money, whether that be on Patreon or donating in the live stream chat. Of course, you don't have to do it. Never feel inclined to do it, but I'm just super grateful you support me enough. You feel you want to give a financial contribution to my work, which, you know, it is lovely. And unlike people like this, I feel bad even for taking your money, but I super appreciate it. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.